Amazing day to all. This is your amazing guru, Teacher Dan Rogayan. And for today's video, pag-uusapan natin ang coverage ng BSED Major in Sciences as per the latest issuance of the Professional Regulation Commission. So let me first share my slide. So gaya po ng nasabi ko in the last video when I discussed the coverage for general education, professional education, the specializations, specifically major in sciences, has also enhanced its table of specifications for the different subjects as part of the licensure examination for professional teachers. And these particular coverage or these particular enhanced TOS will be applied starting this coming March 2023 onwards. So this is actually as per Professional Regulatory Board for Professional Teachers Board Resolution number 11 series of 2020. So marami po yung nag-comment, nagtanong sa akin, nag-comment sa mga videos natin, ano nga ba yung magiging coverage ng LET for the major in science or major in general science as they say. But let me first remind yung latest advisory ng PRC on the changes in the classification of majors for the March 2023 licensure examination for professional teachers. This is still per regulatory board, professional regulatory board for professional teachers resolution number 11 series of 2022 that outlines the updated table of specifications. So the PRC informs all the applicants of the March 2023 licensure examination for professional teachers that there will be changes in the classification of majors. So specifically in the physical sciences, biological sciences, agriculture and fishery arts or AFA or AFA, and the technology and livelihood education or TL. Remember, in the old TOS, it should be the PRC and even in the old curriculum, in the context of science, we have two major ships, the BSED Physical Science and the BSED Biological Science. So the physical and biological sciences, whether old or new curriculum, will fall under a new major called the sciences. So there will be one specialization, one major ship for those who actually finish degrees in BSED Physical Sciences or BSED Biological Sciences. And other institutions, we have Bachelor of Science Education major in Physical Science, or Bachelor of Science Education major in Chemistry, or major in Physics, and Bachelor of Science major in Biology. So all of these degree programs will fall under one majorship, which we now know as which we now know as the major in sciences or BSED major in science. On the other hand, the AFA and TLE, whether old or new curriculum, will be lumped under the technology, livelihood, and tech education. So this would be another one majorship. Kasi dati, dalawa yan, di ba? The AFA nga and the TLE. Major in agri-fishery arts and then major in technology, livelihood, education. Now, we will now call it as a major in technology, livelihood, and tech education. Right? So these are some of the salient changes in the majorship, as per this Professional Regulatory Board for Professional Teachers Resolution number 11 series of 2020. Pag-usapan natin yung coverage ng exam, specifically in the science major. Okay? So let me first show you the component areas. Let me have the laser pointer here. So basically, we have 5 major components of the enhanced TOS for science majorship subjects. We have biology, okay, which is composed of 60 items. In chemistry, with 35 items. Physics with 18 items. Earth science with 18 items. And science and instruction with 19 items. So basically, 5 yung magiging component areas or subject areas ng science majorship or major in sciences under the enhanced table of specific. Now, if we're going to distribute the items in the BSED Major in Sciences by component area, you can see that biology has the biggest chunk in the distribution with 40%. So basically, concepts about life sciences, about biological sciences, compose the highest number of items with 40%. This is followed by chemistry with 23%, earth science and physics with 12%, okay, each or respectively. And then science instruction muna pala with 13%. And then we have earth science and physics. Basically, you can see here that biology uh, is the highest in terms of item distribution, followed by chemistry. Then we have the physics and science instruction, then earth science and so in terms of level of difficulty, the highest number of items are actually moderate with 50%. So the total items is 150 items. So 50% of the 150 items are in moderate level of difficulty. So that means 75 items. Then we have easy items, 30%. And then we have difficult items, 20%. Alam ko na itatanong ninyo, paano kung sa amin lahat ay difficult yan? Well, it's a matter of preparation. Kaya nga nagkakaroon tayo ng review, mga drills natin para nang sa ganon you will be prepared when you take the major shape exam. As I have seen from my loaded videos, especially for biological science majorship na magagamit nyo pa rin naman yun. This is actually a 5-tier videos on biology. So, nakita nyo kanina, 40% of the total items will be coming from biology. So, please review yung ating 5-tier videos. I renamed it a science majorship, let review drills, focusing on biology. So, it's part 1 to part 4, and then the last part, which is the part 5, is actually the final coach. So basically, all these questions are still relevant kasi this is still under the biological sciences. Nakita nyo yun, nakita nyo sa previous slide natin that biology composed the highest chunk in the item distribution. And even though difficult items are only 20%, it could be very difficult. Every item will be very difficult if you have not prepared enough. So, pag wala tayong review and preparation, I know this will be a difficult exam for you, but I know that you will exert an extra effort for you to be able to, answer the questions come March 2023 on. Okay? Now, for the percent distribution of items in BSED Major in Sciences by Bloom's taxonomy level, you can see that majority, almost half of the items, or half of the items, not almost, half of the items is actually under applying. So basically, the questions are into application, into situational tone. So the items are, uh, are more of an application, more of like applying the concept into the real life situation. Then it is followed by understanding with 15.3%. Okay. Then followed by remembering with 14.7%, analyzing with 10%, evaluating with 5.2%, and lastly creating 4.7%. So basically we can see here that it would be a very situational questions, putting the concepts, the theories and principles of science into the real life situation or into an application set. Okay. Now, I'd like to direct your attention to this matrix of comparison that I did. So there are 3 columns here. The PRC Enhanced Table of Specifications, which will be followed for March 2023 onwards. The CMO number 75 series of 2017, which actually spells out the policy standards and guidelines for bachelor secondary education. Of course, under these PSGs of secondary education is major in science. Okay? And then, of course, I also included the old PRC TOS, which covers both the BSED Biological Science and BSED Physics. So we will compare the PRC enhanced TOS, the corresponding subjects in the new teacher education curriculum in secondary, and the subjects which were covered in the old TOS issued by the Professional Regulation Commission. So kung titignan natin, we have A and B here. So the first component is biology. These are the subjects, okay, under this component area. So in under biology, we have plant and animal biology. But if we're going to check the CMO number 75 series of 2017, there's no specific uh, course included that would correspond to these plant and animal biology unless in your institution you have included additional subject for plant and animal biology, or you enhance your curriculum by adding one more subject that would discuss plant and animal biology. Although plant and animal biology are discussed in the senior high school under uh, the STEM, no? The STEM time. No? But in the old PRC TOS, nandyan yan, Biological Science 1 and Biological Science 2 under the BSED Biology Major or BSED Biological Science Major. So kung titignan nyo, in the old PRC TOS, I colored those subjects under BSED Biological Science in green, and then the red are to specify the subjects under the BSED Physical. Then for genetics, we have a course in genetics, we have majorship in genetics under the new teacher education curriculum. In the old PRC, this is actually called genetic and evolution. Still under the BSED biological science. Okay? Then we have cell and molecular biology. Meron naman tayong subject yan under the new teacher education curriculum. And cell biology, no, ang nakalagay dito in the old PRC course. Then microbiology and parasitology is also present in the new teacher education curriculum. That's microbiology, the old PRC TOS. Okay? Then we have anatomy and physiology, both present in the enhanced TOS and in the new teacher education curriculum. But if we're going to look at the old PRC TOS, BSN Biosci, it's called biochemistry and anatomy and physiology. So nilamp nila yung biochemistry and anatomy and physiology. But you know very well that biochemistry is has a very important role naman, no, in the study of anatomy and physiology. So that's under the biology cluster or biology component area. Now letter B is chemistry, no? So let's talk about the subjects under chemistry. So we have inorganic chemistry that's present in the new teacher education curriculum. And then if we're going to look at the old PRC TOS in biosci major, present ang inorganic chemistry. And then for physical science, marami yung mga subject areas that can be that can correspond to inorganic chemistry. We have chemistry in general, atomic and molecular, chemical bonds, conservation of matter and stoichiometry, gases, liquids and solids, acids and bases, and solutes. Basically, these are the coverage in the old PRC TOS under BSED Phi-Sci major. Okay? Now, for organic chemistry, that's still, of course, present in the new teacher education curriculum. It's present in the old PRC TOS under biosci and even under phi-sci. However, in the phi-sci, kasama niyo yung biochem, organic and biochemistry. So basically, inorganic chem and organic chem is included under chemistry component. Then we also have the biochemistry. So we have that in the new teacher education curriculum with the addition of analytical chemistry. So dinagdag ko lang siya dito, no? So isinama ko na yung analytical chemistry because there's no specific, no, in the PRC enhanced TOS, walang specific subject na inilagay for analytical chem. But some principles probably may be added na lang dito sa biochemistry. So in the old PRC TOS, present ito, biochemistry, anatomy, and physiology. As we mentioned kanina dito, okay, that's under biosci, and then organic and biochemistry for physical. Okay, so basically that's the first two component areas for major in sciences. Then we have component C, physics. So divided into two major subjects, classical physics and then modern physics. Under classical physics, we have thermodynamics, electricity, magnetism, waves and optics. Okay, if you're going to check the teacher education curriculum under specialization, andyan ang thermodynamics, andyan ang electricity and magnetism, okay, magkasama. Then we also have waves and optics. I just included here yung fluid mechanics. That's one new specialization under the major in science. So in the old PRC TOS under BSED Majorship, we have physical quantities and vectors, mechanics, electricity, magnetism and electronics, thermodynamics, light, and geometrics optics. So these are the coverage in the old PRC TOS under physical science. Now for modern physics, still we have one majorship under the new teacher education curriculum, that is modern physics, and even in the old PRC. Then for the earth science, for component letter D, we have two subject areas, meteorology and astronomy, and environmental science. So in the new teacher education curriculum under specialization, we have earth science, meteorology, and astronomy. So these are three different subjects. So dinagdag ko na lang dito sa earth science, you know very well that meteorology and astronomy are actually part of the earth sciences. So I included that in there. And then if we're going to look at the old BRC TOS under physical science, we have earth and space, and then astronomy. Okay. Then for environmental science, we still have environmental science as one separate subject in the new teacher education curriculum. And then for physical science, my environment, okay, na nabanggit, as one subject areas in the old PRC TOS. And then siguro pwede na ito that corresponds sa environmental science, yung ecology, under naman to sa BSED Biosci. Okay? And then one important or salient enhancement ng coverage is the inclusion of the science instruction. So before kasi parang all of the instruction area, all the pedagogical courses are under the Prof Ed. But now we have two, no, the methods and technology for teaching science and then research. So the teaching of science is a new subject, no, in the science majorship. Although ano lang, na-rename lang kasi usually parang ano to ano ba to? Parang instrumentation, parang ganun instrumentation teaching science. So the teaching of science, so basically this is where the different principles of science are being discussed. So nandyan yan. And then also the technology for teaching and learning too. Science ito. Remember nung sinabi ko that there is actually two TTL subjects. The TTL1 is actually a Prof Ed subject, and the TTL2 is actually a majorship subject. So if we're going to look at the old TOS, I can say that the nature of science under physical science may be form part of the teaching of science, because in the teaching of science, you have to also teach the nature. And then the educational technology, I colored it violet because it's actually under Prof. But in the new curriculum, the EdTech 1 and EdTech 2 are both in the professional education subjects, but now the EdTech 1 is for profit, and then the EdTech 2, which is now known as the technology for teaching learning 2, is under the okay. And then lastly is research. So we have here in the CMO 75 research in teaching science. It's very specific in the teaching of science. So basically this is the conduct of action researches in science teaching learning process. So there is no specific subject under the old PRC TOS na tumatalakay sa research. So I left it blank here. So basically, you can see there the comparison, no? So ano yung nasa coverage ngayon as per the PRC Enhanced TOS, ano yung mga subjects nito sa new curriculum, which was issued and was implemented in 2017, and then ano yung nasa old PRC. Basically, yan yung mga ano, yan yung naging comparison natin para mas mag-guide tayo as to ano yung mga areas na dapat nating i-concentrate specifically in our preparation and review for the upcoming board. Okay? So now, isa-isahin natin, no, yung mga learning outcomes ng bawat component areas and ng bawat subject areas under the 5 major component areas: biology, chemistry, physics, earth science, and science instruction. So for biology, you can see there the plant and animal biology. So there are two learning outcomes there. Demonstrate familiarity with the classification of plants and animals and their basic needs for survival. So basically, um, this could uh, give questions like, for example, the taxonomy of living organisms. No, saan naka-classify, for example, ang mga animals, ang mga plants. There will be questions of phylum, there will be questions of kingdom, yan, di ba? So, lagi-lagi na itatanong din yan sa ating majorship, specifically in bioscience. So, may mga tanong about the different taxonomical classifications, the levels of classification. Sino si Carolus Linnaeus? He's actually the father of ancient taxonomy, the father of modern taxonomy, etc. Okay, then for 1.2, show how plants and animals maintain homeostasis and energy acquisition for sustainability. So nandito yung mga questions on homeostasis, on the maintenance of the internal balance, okay, of the different organisms. And then, of course, the energy. How do organisms obtain energy? What is the major source of energy on planet Earth that is very instrumental, for example, in the balance of the um, life. So basically, that's under plant and animal biology. Now for genetics, okay, we have two learning outcomes. 2.1 is to illustrate the roles of chromosomes and genes, no, in genetic technology. So andyan yung tawag dito, may mga questions on genetic technology, questions on the roles of chromosomes, okay, questions probably on concepts like mutation, mga ganyan, ganyan. Then 2.2, identify the benefits derived from genetic technology in the field of medicine and agriculture. There might be questions about how genetic technology help, for example, detect in the earliest stage ang mga diseases, for example, of newly born children, newly born babies, yeah. And then in the fields of agriculture, there would be questions on the different products of biotechnology. Ano yung Bacterium thuringiensis, mga ganyan, the BT corn, the BT eggplant, no? And then there would be questions about uh, other no products of biotechnology, mga concepts on genetically modified organisms. Then number 3, under still biology, cell and molecular biology, distinguish between cell and molecule. You know very well, the smallest functional unit of life is a cell. Okay, and a cell is composed of several um, then tiny structures, which are known as the organelles. We also have different macromolecules. You have your protein, carbohydrate, lipids, and nucleic acids. No? So 3.2, exhibit the characteristics and functions of the cell as a fundamental unit of life. So dyan makikita natin yung different cellular functions. Probably nandito rin yung how uh, how does life exist, no? What is the origin of life? There will be questions about um, you know, theories, no, on cell theories, the different postulates of cell theories, who are the triumvirates in cell theories, etc. That's still in cell and molecular biology. Okay? Now for number 4, microbiology and parasitology, 4.1 is to demonstrate understanding of disease-causing microorganisms collectively known as microbes. Okay, so there will be questions about the different pathogenic microorganisms. There would be the concept of pathology. What is pathology? What are these different pathogens? Okay, yeah. Distinguish bacteria, proteins, and viruses and their effects on humans. There will be questions about what particular disease, can be caused by the bacteria, proteins, virus, COVID-19, for example. Okay, what are the organisms responsible for these particular disease? Yeah. And then probably there will be questions about postulates, no, about microbiology, virology, and some related fields. Okay. Now, for number five, still under biology's anatomy and physiology, exhibit understanding of the functions, diseases, and care for the 12 systems of the body. If you're a lot of systems, you know, skeletal, muscular, reproductive, etc. Really, functions and the major functions, and the major roles of these systems, and even a specific organ in these particular systems. They discuss the recent inventions that have improved the health and longevity of life. No? So, probably some questions about the innovations and mga recent inventions in the longevity ng pagpapahaba ng buhay. So basically, there will be concept about stem cell, diba? Stem cell therapy, and other stuff like that. Now for component B, which is chemistry, so number one is in organic chemistry. 1.1 is to distinguish the three states of matter and the types of mixture. So there will be properties in solid, liquid, gas, and then types of mixture like homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture. Then under homogeneous mixture, you have your solution. Then under your heterogeneous mixture, you have your colloid and suspension. There will be basic questions about that. Then manifest 1.2 manifest understanding of chemical formula and chemical notations, no? Balancing chemical equations, and then writing chemical formula. Okay? Then number two, organic chemistry, 2.1, relate the structural characteristics and properties of organic compounds. So there'll be a question about specific organic compounds, its structure, its property. And then 2.2, describe the basic reactions of organic compounds, different chemical changes, no, that occur, no, in the among organic compounds. Okay? Then three is biochemistry. 3.1 show understanding of the structure, functions, and reactions of macromolecules. So probably reaction of protein, carbohydrates, lipids, and the nucleic acid, and probably the different monomers, no, of these macromolecules. For example, monomer of protein, you have your amino acid. Monomer of carbohydrate, you have your simple sugar or glucose. So there will be questions about it. Then 3.2, discuss how bacteria, viruses, and chemicals affect human health. So ayan, no, may mga tanong dyan about, for example, ano yung vector, no, what, for example, protist, no, is responsible for the spread, for example, of uh, malaria to humans, mga ganyan, or questions about um, mga bacteria, mga uh, bacteria-related diseases, mga virus-related diseases, mga ganyan. Okay? So these could sources, no, of questions under biochemistry. Then components, right? We have two subjects, the classical physics and the modern physics. Or under classical physics, we have thermodynamics, electricity, magnetism, waves, and optics. The 1.1 demonstrate the relation of heat, work, and temperature to energy, radiation, and physical properties of matter. So there would be probably there would be simple um, problem solving about this topic or about this learning outcome. Then 1.2 illustrate the transfer of energy from one place to another and from one form to another. For example, when you eat, for example, a banana, so from chemical energy, and then you eat a banana and then you work, for example, so from chemical energy to mechanical energy. Or example, you have your flashlight with a battery on it. So you have your chemical energy to light energy. Or probably you have, ano ba, you actually plugged in your ceiling fan, so that's from electrical energy to mechanical energy. So there would be questions about that, especially yung mga uh, you know, common or typical examples that happen in the real life situation. Okay? Then, still under classical physics 1.3, discuss the uses of electromagnetism for motors, generators, transformers, X-rays. So their basic application. How do we actually use um how do we apply electromagnetism for several tawag dito, machines, generators, etc. Then 1.4 is to distinguish the characteristics and functions of waves and optics. There will be questions about that. What are the functions of waves? What are its characteristics, even in optics? Then for under modern physics, we have 2.1, characterize the basic features of modern physics, the Planck's quantum theory, and Einstein's theory of relativity. So there will be questions about these concepts. So please be guided. Then 2.2, distinguish between classical physics and modern physics. What delineates the two? What's the delineating line, the demarcation line of the classical and the modern physics? Okay. Then, of course, component letter D is earth science. So we have meteorology and astronomy. So number 1.1 is to explain the interconnections of land, ocean, and atmosphere to human life on Earth. So basically, how these different spheres of Earth interrelate with one another. You have, for example, the atmosphere. We have five spheres of Earth. But remember, for the air, you have the atmosphere. For the land, you have your geosphere. For the life, you have the biosphere. For the water, you have the hydrosphere. And of course, for your frozen part of the world is have your cryosphere. Then for 1.2, illustrate the cycles of water, carbon, rock, and other materials that sustain the inhabitants of planet. Basically, you can encounter questions as to the hydrologic or water cycle, carbon oxygen cycle, the rock cycle, and other important biogeochemicals. Now, for 1.3, demonstrate the characteristics of non-Earth bodies and phenomena such as the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets. There will be questions about the different celestial bodies, what is the largest planet, what's the largest satellite, what is the hottest planet. So there will be questions about that as first part of your astronomy. What's the difference between meteorite to meteor to meteorite? Then 1.4, describe the benefits derived from space exploration. Uh, there will be questions probably about some famous satellites, some recent space explorations, and the benefits that we can derive from these particular um, processes. Okay? Then for number 2, environmental science 2.1, illustrate the interdependence of living organisms with each other and with their natural environment. Concept of ecology, concept of the relationship between the biotic and abiotic. Then 2.2, deliberate the food chain links, which show how organisms are related in utilizing energy and nutrients. There will be questions about um, what is a food chain, what is a food web, what's the difference between the two, and then probably questions about the autotrophs, the heterotrophs, the percent of energy being transferred, and even the energy bill. Now, for lastly, for the component E, the science instruction, number 1, methods and technology for teaching science. For 1.1, lead in the exploration of challenging activities to motivate interest in science. Basically, you can you can encounter questions about appropriate activities, in a particular topic, in science. Then for 1.2, illustrate assessment tools to measure the outcomes of learning in science. So basically, what appropriate assessment tools, assessment strategies, are appropriate, in a particular learning outcomes or learning objectives in science. Then for 1.3, identify the uses of technology for effective outcomes in learning. So probably there will be questions about the different technology, digital tools that we can use for learning science. And then for 1.4, demonstrate the procedure in improvising materials for basic biotech. So there will be questions about the concept of taxidermy, questions about, for example, um, the preparation of terrarium or aquarium. So these are some basic biotech in the preparation of instructional material in science. And then for number two, lastly, is research. 2.1 manifest familiarity with the basic investigative research in science. So the process, no, of scientific method, no, the process of hypothesis testing, problem identification, the difference of the independent and dependent variables, such things like that. And then 2.2 is to demonstrate proficiency in interpreting graphical presentations of data and conclusions drawn from inferential analysis of research. So basically, there might be questions about graph analysis. You know, for example, if this is the particular graph, how do you analyze that? Or what graphs are appropriate, for example, in the data presentation? And probably there would be questions on statistics, on basic statistics in conducting research in science, and even science investigatory. Right? So, yun yun, no? Yun yung mga specific learning outcomes that will help you prepare your review program, review schedule for BSED major in science. So, gaya ng sinabi ko sa inyo kanina, magkakahalo na dito ang biology, ang physics, ang chemistry, earth science, and sciences. So this will be the first time na pag-iisahin, no, ni PRC yung examination ng lahat ng nag-major ng sciences, regardless, no, if you are a graduate of Phi-Sci or physical science, a graduate of biological science, or specific graduate, for example, BS chemistry or BS physics, no, or BS or Bachelor of Science Education major in physics, or BS physics for teachers, BS chemistry for teachers, yeah, all of this, or BS general science, or BS ed science. So basically, isa lang. Ito lang po yung magiging coverage natin for science majorship. Okay? So there will be, these are some of the references I use. We have the CHED CMO 75, series of 2017, the PSGs for BSED, the CMO 57, okay, on the offering of the Filipino subjects. This is part of the G. And then the enhanced table of specifications for the subject of the licensure examination for professional teachers to be implemented beginning March 2023 onward. Okay? So thank you so much. So if you have questions about the coverage of the BSED major in sciences, feel free to comment down below so I can address it in our next conversation and in our next discussion. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Thank you very much for your time, and till our next